Overtime! Hey guys, welcome back to Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie. We're out here in the garage, and guys, I've got a lot of monitors to fix. I got a ton of these that I need to get up and running for various projects and various purposes, and I figured for today's video, I pulled 6 monitors off the shelf, put them on the bench, and we're gonna test all of these out. We're gonna go through them, see what's working, see what's not working, see what needs to be done, see which of these is going to blow up in my face. Hopefully none, but you never know. It's happened before. I'm sure it'll happen again. And yeah, we'll see what we need to do here. I'm excited about this. I've been meaning to do this for a while. So just going left to right here, what we've got first up, we have a Matsushita TM202G. Yes, I know, everyone's favorite monitor, the piece of Matsushita. These monitors are unreliable, they're terrible to work on, but when they're working well, they do produce a nice image, and I have a couple of these, one of which we're going to look at today. Right here, as you can kind of see from the label, we have a 19-inch Wells Gardner 4900 or K4900. Bit of a weird version of this chassis. We'll take a look at what's going on there. Over here, we have our only 25-inch monitor that we're going to look at today. This is a Neotech 2515C. This is the same monitor that I had before in the Primal Rage. And down below here, we have, count them, 1, 2, 3 Sanyo 20EZ monitors, sort of the most common Nintendo monitor that you'll find in, like, you know, Popeye and Donkey Kong and that sort of thing. So yeah, first one we're going to look at is the Matsushita. And yes, this is a TM202G. Before anyone tries to gaslight me or argue that this is, you know, there's people who say that's not what this monitor is called. They say, no, people just call it the TM202 because that's what it said on the Atari manual, but that actually stands for Technical Manual number 202. It has nothing to do from, you know, it wasn't assigned by Matsushita. It has nothing to do with Matsushita. But guys, I don't want to hear that. Look right here. Look right here. What does that say on the frame? Model number TM-202G. What does that say right here? Model number TM-202G on the tube. And what does that say right here on the flyback sort of focus block thing? Model number TM-202G. This is the Matsushita TM-202G. I don't want to hear anyone else. I don't want to hear anyone saying that, no, that's just what the manual number was called. And there's actually kind of a sister monitor to this. I mentioned this earlier. We have another Matsushita over here. This one's got the flyback pulled out of it. This is very, very similar, but it's a TM201G, if you see what it says right there in the tube. And then similarly, I don't know where the focus block piece is. This is a 201G, very, very similar, not identical, very similar. We're not gonna look at that one today. We're only gonna, one Matsushita monitor is enough, right, for one day. So we're going to focus our efforts on this guy right here, at least at first. And we'll get to all of these monitors soon if the tripod will cooperate with me. Here we go. That's a better viewing angle, maybe. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hook this up. We're going to fire it up, see if it works, see if it explodes. I've had Matsushita monitors basically catch fire on me before. The flyback fails and arcs all over. So a couple things I want to point out. I've already got the CraftyMech TPG test pattern generator because there's a couple things we need in order to test the monitor. We need to hook it up to power, obviously, and we need to hook up a signal to it to see if we get some sort of image and have all the colors and what the geometry looks like and all that. So I've got my CraftyMech TPG test pattern generator hooked up to the Matsushita. Now this thing has, it's just a bizarre design. This was, I guess, originally designed to be a consumer television, not originally designed to be an arcade monitor. So there's this main circuit board chassis PCB, but half of it's unpopulated. It's huge, and half of it's just empty. There's no components or anything. And then we have no fewer than 3 remote boards over here 1, 2, and 3 on the side. One for the gauze. This is the video input. And what do they call this one? It's got some geometry adjustments on it, position and width and that sort of thing. So, and of course the neck board. And nobody loves these. Nobody loves these monitors. I had one of these before in my Irish Kangaroo, but I actually just recently traded that to Warren out in Ohio, and I got the Mario Brothers and the Defender and the Stargate, a bunch of other stuff, and he got, among other things, the Irish Kangaroo that had my Matsushita monitor in it. It wouldn't have originally, that Irish cabinet wouldn't have originally come with a Matsushita, but that's what I got with it when I got the cabinet. And I think it had Xevious burn on it. Anyway, this this one right here, I think it has, we'll take a look with the blacklight in a little bit. I think it's got millipede burn on it. It does have an Atari serial number sticker here. It's upside down. It says serial number UR for upright 01685. So I'm guessing this originally came out of a millipede. Among many weird things with this monitor is it uses a non-standard pinout for the video input signal. The signals are all compatible, but like the TPG, excuse me, is set up for a normal RGB connection where it goes RGB ground, and then you can have positive and negative, or positive vertical sync and positive horizontal sync, and then a separate connector with another ground point, and then negative vertical sync and negative horizontal sync. And that's normal. You know, some games use positive sync, negative sync, composite, whatever. But the Matsushita is different. It has a 6-pin connector, and going from 1 to 6, the first pin is actually blank. The first pin doesn't actually do anything. There's no connection. And then it's the composite sync, then ground, then blue, green, and red. So I've got my connectors plugged in, but sort of weird. I've got them flipped around backwards. So it goes RGB from the bottom up, and then it only works with composite sync, which the TPG will provide from the horizontal pin. So I've got my connector, my sync connector moved over on the TPG. So it's all connected here. That should be good to go. And for power, we have my compact portable isolation transformer power supply thing that I made long ago in a previous video. This thing will provide isolated 120 volts to the cabinet, or to the monitor, which is what it needs. That's typically going to be provided by an isolation transformer in the original cabinet. But this little, device that I made here, that's pretty simple. It's just got an isolation transformer inside of it, and then, switches and filters and fuses and stuff. And basically what it does is it makes it easy for you to test your monitor outside of a cabinet. So that's hooked up to power. The ground is right there. Test pattern generator we will turn on, and we'll position this, just because I don't trust these monitors. Rather than looking at the tube, we'll turn it on right here and see if anything catches on fire, anything explodes. I'm in the garage, so a bit safer than being in the house. I've got some fire extinguishers here, and I'll have my finger on the power switch. So I've turned on the TPG test pattern generator, and here we go with the power in 3, 2, 1. I heard something. Heard a little pop. That might have been the degauss. I'm not seeing any smoke. Not seeing. That sound could have been the a fuse going. So let's see. I'm not seeing anything on the tube. And you know what I should have done is, and I was thinking about this, but distracted making the video, I want to hook up, I'll turn off the TPG. I'm going to hook up the multimeter, and we will measure the B+, which is also something that you should generally do when you're working on monitors. Make sure the B+ is dialed in. So we'll put our black lead to the frame, and then every monitor is a little bit different. There's a test point or somewhere where you should grab, check the B+ voltage. Here it's test point D91, I think is what it's called. It's right there. And of course it's falling right off. Okay, and we'll put that on DC volts as I'm sweating everywhere. we'll turn this back on. We've got some voltage. So that's really high. We don't want it that high. It's supposed to be 123 volts. So it could be in HV shutdown. Let me grab one of my TV adjustment tools here. And I'm gonna actually have to stop the video to check and remember where the B plus adjustment is. So let me go look that up real quick. And oh, that's B plus adjust right there. Okay, good. Let's see if we can get this dialed down to 123. Because I'm doubting that we will, because that's really high. Let's see. That's up higher. Yeah, no adjustment whatsoever. So we'll go ahead and turn this off. I'm gonna, while we're let this bleeding off, I want to check those fuses. There's two fuses right here. I heard a little pop when the monitor first powered up, which I didn't love that sound. I can go ahead and pull this right here. Just be a little bit careful again because I'm all sweaty because it's 90-something degrees in here, guys. All right, let's see. That fuse is good. And come on. That fuse looks good. So I think this is in HV shutdown. Let me look it up real quick. I might have had this issue before with the other Matsushita that I had to bring to life. What is that right there? That might be some gunk oozing out of the flyback, which I don't like. So let me look this up real quick, and we'll see what a B plus of about 145 means on a Matsushita. I'll be right back. All right, I thought those symptoms sounded familiar, you know, not being able to get the B plus to adjust below like 140 something. And sure enough, I found a thread on Claw from like 2019 that I'm pretty sure I saw before with the old monitor last time, actually by Ron from Joe's Classic Video Games, another great YouTube channel. And he says when that happens, it's usually because there's a resistor R811 that's out of spec or burnt up, and I can't test it in circuit. So that does sound familiar. I'll probably, you know, want to take this chassis out, do a cap kit. I'll test that that resistor when I get it out, and hopefully it should be okay. But at least it tells me that there's something going on with this chassis, and it's not just completely dead. So that's good, and hopefully this flyback works. Because the reason I even care about this monitor and where this monitor came from, this is actually from my buddy and Overtime Arcade channel member, Jumping General. It was a year ago. I traded him, or I sold him my Future Spy cabinet, which is not a great game, but he really wanted it. I sold that to him for a small amount of money, and he threw some monitors at me. These two Matsushitas, this one and the one we were looking at before, I think some other monitor maybe that was part of the deal, monitors that weren't working and that he had no interest in, so I figured, hey, I'll take them. If I can get them working, I can get them working, that's great. But the reason I even care about this monitor, not just because I got it from a buddy of mine, is Peter from arcadepartsrepair.com is working on reproducing these flybacks, which aren't currently available. I think somebody on eBay was selling them, but you know, at least the one I got didn't work. I was able to get the Matsushita in my Kangaroo, my Irish Kangaroo, working because Sean from Classic Arcade Repairs, he pulled a, he had a parts Matsushita chassis on his shelf. He pulled that off, grabbed the flyback and sent it to me. That's how I got that monitor working. But Peter from arcadepartsrepair.com is currently working on reproducing the Matsushita flyback. But what he wants is for me to send him a working original OEM flyback, I think for destructive analysis, so that the factory can figure out, you know, what's going on with the windings inside to accurately and correctly reproduce it. So that's why I care about that monitor at all. So let's come over here and bring up our second subject of the day. Now, at first glance, this looks like a relatively normal 5-pot 4900. And what I mean by 5-pot is there's at least 3 different versions, or 3 major versions. Oh, and the little isolation transformer must be used, tag fell off. There's at least 3 major revisions of the 4900, and they're kind of referred to as the 3-pot, the 4-pot, and the 5-pot. And what that refers to is these adjustment pots right here. So this is a 5-pot because you can count it from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is the 5th one. You ignore these 2 when you're counting. A 4-pot chassis doesn't have this little vertical board here with the blue pot, and then a 3-pot doesn't even have that one. So it doesn't have a vertical position and a vertical dampener pot. So they're all a little bit different, and you don't want to mix and match yokes between these. Like, all the tubes will work between those monitors, and technically all the chassis will work with the yokes, but if you mix and match the yokes, you won't get a good image. You'll have geometry issues that you can't fix. And this is a strange connector here. We'll hook up power. And so I got this. So yeah, at first glance, it looks like a normal 5-pot K7000 or K4900. But there's a handwritten, so there's the, I don't know if you're going to be able to kind of see this easily. This is the model number tag right here. It's kind of bent over. But somebody like took whiteout and whited out the model number and like hand wrote something else. But even the handwriting, I can't tell. I think it says 19K4956, but it might not be. And there's other weird things I noticed when I was first looking at this. There's cardboard over here. I don't know. At first I was like, could this possibly be a medium res? But I don't think that's what it is, because the medium res 4900 has like additional stuff going on, like a little mini circuit board gets mounted right there. So this looks okay. Someone has broken the yoke connector and flipped it around to change the orientation. But I think we can hook this up. So I got this this 4900 from the trade that I did for my what was it? It was my Sly Spy that I traded to a fellow Clav member, and that's where I got the House of the Dead that I immediately traded for the Neo Geo Big Red, and I got the, there we go, come on, get in there. The Tattoo Assassins, or it's really a midway cabinet that had reproduction Tattoo Assassins artwork, and that cabinet's gone. I've now traded that, or sold that, to a friend of a friend. And come on, get in there. And then I got an NFL Blitz project out of the deal, and that went to my buddy who goes by the name of Nintendork on Twitter. So, okay, that's connected. I need to fix how the sync connector is connected on the TPG, but that should be all good. Power is kind of connected. I don't like how that looks, but that's good. So let's get ready for a light show. I've never tested this chassis before. I did bring this to a repair party I was at this past weekend, and my buddy Bruce, who is like the world's leading expert in rejuvenators, and I brought him my 467, is it B&K or something like that, 467, my spare one that I never got working right. Brought it with me to the repair party. He runs the Facebook B&K Rejuvenators group. I'll put a link down below for Bruce's group. Bruce knows more about these things, those rejuvenators, than anybody, and I was having him take a look at it. He thought everything was good, like he was double checking all my work, but then we hooked it up to this tube and we weren't seeing what we were expecting, so he actually kept that, my spare rejuvenator, to take a look at in his workshop. So, so that could be a tube issue. That could be an issue with the rejuvenator. That one has never worked right, but anyway, I think we're ready to test. So let's power on the TPG and turn on the monitor in 3, 2, 1. I heard the HV come on. And this thing is nice and clean. Just a little bit of dust I'm hearing something. Yeah, guys, good news. Here we go. We got our first working monitor here. And that image, even on the camera, is looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit of a gauze issue over there. But let's cycle through these. Why is this not changing? Here we go. Colors look great. Look at that. It's white balanced even. This is our first working monitor. Cool. So obviously, you know, when you test these, you want to let them run for, you know, a good 24 hours or so, just to make sure there's no image, or make sure there's no issues. Ideally with an image that's changing like this so you don't burn it in. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with this monitor, what the exact model number is, but hey, we've got a working 19-inch 4900 standard resolution monitor, and that will definitely come in handy. Before I forget, one more thing I wanted to show you with the 4900 here is the B+. So I changed the monitor, I changed the image on the TPG to just a crosshatch, so that's a stable image and we don't have to worry about the B+ changing. And where you test the B+ on a 4900, obviously you put the black lead on chassis ground, and that's R503 right there, that big one that's mounted on the PCB, not on the frame, not the one up here. It's mounted right on the frame. I've got my red lead on the leg that's closest. There's also a TP91 sort of in there, but that's harder to reach. And we've got it just shy of 132. It's supposed to be 130, so this is a tad high, but I would imagine if I did, you know, I think this has already had a cap kit, but if I dialed this in and got everything sort of looking good, I mean, this is less than 2 volts off, so I'm not too worried about it. It's not perfect. Maybe there's a component in here that's a little bit out of spec and something, you know, might be going out soon, but at least for now, we have, whoa, come on, gimbal. We've got a working 4900. Okay, next up we have the Neotech 2515C. Again, this is the only 25-inch monitor that we're going to be testing today. This one I also got from the Claw of Forms member that I traded the Sly Spy cabinet with, just like the the 5-pot 4900 we were just testing. This Neotech also came from that Forms member. In that trade, he was just, I guess, looking to get rid of extra monitors. So I'm hoping that I can actually use this in my Neo Geo Big Red, which I didn't get from him, but I got sort of secondhand through, because that's what I traded the House of the Dead for that I got from him. So anyway, yeah, Neotech 2515C. This is the same model of monitor that was in the Primal Rage that I got. And then sold that to Mark back to the Media Arcade in Winchester, Virginia. This also has an Atari-style serial number sticker that says PRF2348. And I think that means Primal Rage. So this was likely in a Primal Rage. Not seeing what this burn looks like. We'll look at the burn on these monitors later when it's dark out. But yeah, so a couple things going on here. I've got the TPG hooked up. This monitor does have a remote board for adjusting, you know, different controls, rather than, you know, you can mount this somewhere easily accessible and not having to reach all the way sort of in the cabinet into the working monitor, trying to find the pots to adjust things. The remote board, the adjustment board, makes it really, really easy to access things, to adjust it while the monitor's on. You know, I stopped recording for a second. I thought I started up again and thought I filmed a couple more minutes of stuff, but I guess not. So no problem. We'll just redo it. It happens, right? Okay. So, you know, I need to hook up the multimeter to check the B+. And this is a little bit weird, this one. Like, the instructions say you want to obviously hook up your black lead to the chassis ground, the frame. And then your red lead, it says to connect to the connection point between R117 and R424. But that's, like, looking at it, that doesn't make any sense. So I've just got it on the leg of R117, which I think is the way to do it. This chassis has had some work done on it at some point. I can see some of the wires have had their, you know, wire ties or zip ties or whatever cut, and they're kind of just like floating around, but that's fine. I can't quite tell if it's had a cap kit on it. It might have. There's this weird fuse thing going on, so there should be fuse F101 mounted right there on the chassis. And I don't know why they replaced it with this sort of, you know, twist lock. I don't know if this is like a marine style fuse holder. Maybe they broke the original fuse holder and didn't have one of the same kind, so they just threw one of these in here. But I tested that, and that fuse is good. And the last thing is the power connector is different. So whereas on most 19-inch monitors, and most even older monitors than this, they use like a two-prong connector for the isolation transformer power, and then you have to like ground it separately. And I have an alligator clip, and this plugs into my isolation transformer power supply. But this monitor uses a 3-pin connector, so because it takes ground in the connector as well. And I think technically this monitor doesn't need an isolation transformer. Don't quote me on that. I could be totally wrong, but I think that is an isolation transformer mounted on the chassis itself. But it never hurts to run a monitor off of an ISO, even if it doesn't technically need it. And so I've got this other wire to connect the isolation transformer power supply with the monitor. So with all of that said, I think we're good to go. We're going to look for 125 volts on the B+. I will turn on my TPG. I got the TPG plugged in for the video, and here we go, starting it up in 3, 2, 1. That looks a little low. And we've got an image, but it's all out of whack. All right, so there's something funky going on here. And this is not a medium res monitor, so that's not the issue. We have like a, let's see, and we're missing a color. We're missing green, right? We've got red and blue. But something's funky. Let me see, let me try this. No, that doesn't help. So something's screwy. Let's turn it off and turn it back on. And even if I do medium res, like that's not gonna do anything, right? See, that's even worse. So we have some kind of image. The B+ is low, which I don't like. And I can't remember. Let me check. Is this adjustable? Is the B+ on this adjustable? Hang on. Yeah, the B+ is adjustable at R112, which is not the most accessible thing. Where is R112? R499, R403, R418. I'm looking for like a little white pot. R112 right there. I see it. Okay. R112. See if I can get that to 125. It's adjusting up. Okay. Let's get it, trying to get it locked in. There we go. 125.1. Nothing. Let me turn it off and turn it back on again real quick. Same thing with the TPG. Doubt that'll make much of a difference, but you never know. Huh. Now it's going funky. Maybe it didn't like being turned up like that. That's not good, guys. That's not good. All right, it came back on. Something's weird here. It's coming back up. Again, I don't like, something's not right. Something's clearly messed up. I don't know if it's with these, the remote board. There's something weird here. So what we'll do is, I mean, this is partially working, right? We've got some kind of image. It's all screwed up. What I'll likely do is, we'll do a full cap kit on this and take a look at anything. Maybe things need to be reflow. Maybe the sink's not connecting properly. I wonder if I can get, nah, that's not gonna do anything. But hey, this is a partially working monitor, so hopefully once we get this fully working, I'll be able to use this in my big red Neo Geo, and I can ditch that terrible flat screen LCD that's currently inside. All right, let's get set up for the Nintendo monitors. Okie doke, and here are the trio. Here is the trio of the three 20EZ, Sanyo 20EZ Nintendo monitors that I've got here. And this represents my strategic Nintendo monitor reserve, right? Instead of the strategic oil reserve, I have a strategic monitor reserve. I have way up there somewhere, I think another like Sharp Nintendo chassis, like the, yeah, right there. There's a extra, I got tons of stuff up here. XM Sharp, extra Sharp XM 2001N chassis. But that won't work with these monitors because these are Sanyos, not Sharps. Anyway, I got these, all three of these in the same sort of mini warehouse raid parts pickup. I think it was 2 years ago at this point. This was the same pickup where I got the Choplifter PCB. I think I got all three of these monitors and that Choplifter PCB for maybe $100 total, which, you know, not terrible. I'm sure all these monitors have issues, but that sort of comes with the territory. And right off the bat, we've got a big issue with this one. And I noticed it before I even picked it up. And you might have already seen it. You might have seen the label on it already. But yeah, this tube is necked. So there's a lot going on. The frame is actually bent. Like the whole monitor is leaning backwards because the front of the frame is bent. I don't know if this damage is related, but you can see clear as day right here, that neck board does not look nice and perpendicular to the axis of the tube, and clearly the glass is broken. This this tube is necked, which means this tube is not fixable. You know, this is these monitors, right? You guys know this, right? This is a CRT cathode ray tube. It's like a giant vacuum tube, like old school electronics. And once, you know, and the weak point of the whole thing, these things are actually pretty strong. The weak point is the neck, sort of comes down in this teardrop shape. The neck board plugs into it, and electron guns and pins and all that are sort of in there. And it's a vacuum, and once that vacuum is compromised, either by the glass being broken or one of the pins coming out and breaking the seal, it's a giant paperweight. But at least, you know, hopefully we'll get some use out of the chassis, PCB, the neck board, right? So there's some parts here that we should be able to salvage. Yeah, and you might be able to see it easily here, sort of upside down. It's etched into the frame, but it says Japan EZV. And yeah, that's the what we colloquially, whatever that word is, call the 20EZ. And I'm just double checking. Yeah, Japan EZV, Japan EZV. I was looking earlier for any other model numbers on it, but sometimes you'll see this called the EZ20. I always call it the 20EZ. Everyone will know what you're talking about when you say Sanyo 20EZ. This thing also looks like it might have been worked on at some point. Most of the time you find the power cords on these are gray, like the other two are gray. This one's black, so I don't know if this was replaced. But yeah, the chassis looks okay. It's all dusty and dirty. But hopefully we'll get some kind of use out of it at some point by pulling the chassis off of it and using the chassis. But this tube is shot, done for, not fixable. So that's that. Now this one here, we will be testing. Now this does have a label on the front. I'll show you. That's not, whoa, that's not my handwriting right there on that painter's tape. It says Vert NG, which I'm assuming means Vert not good. So what do we have? Vertical collapse perhaps, which is very, very common with these monitors. That's a relatively simple fix. Cap kit, maybe a transistor or two. We get this thing ready for testing. So if you've not had any experience with Nintendo arcade hardware, let me tell you, Nintendo has always, as a company, done their own thing their own way. And that's true of almost everything with this monitor. From the way the power is set up, to the video signal, to how the chassis is designed, to everything. I'm just doing a quick visual once over on this, just to make sure there's nothing super obvious damage. I see the volume pot is smashed up because, you know, one of the things that Nintendo did, I'm getting ahead of myself, one of the things that Nintendo did that was different is this isn't just a monitor, the sound amplifier board is on this thing too. So we have the sound section over here, and then a remote board, but the remote board is mounted on the chassis. That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this is a sound amp right here. And so not only, and you can see the sound, I don't know if these are the inputs or the outputs, those were cut. And let's see, where are the other wires? So we have our power, and so instead of just power and a video signal going to the monitor, we've got sound in and sound out. So unamplified sound comes in, and amplified sound comes out, and I'm looking for where the sound output would be. Okay, I think I figured it out. I think the sound comes in and plugs into this header and then comes out here. This has been cut, whatever. So that's a weird thing. The monitor also does double duty as the sound amp, which all Nintendo monitors did that. The power is different. So most monitors for, you know, American arcade companies run on 120 volts, isolated 120 volts, because 120 is the standard that US, you know, power runs on. Nintendo, being from Japan, they run on 100 volts, isolated 100 volts AC, because 100 volts is the Japanese standard. You know, Europe is like 220 or something like that. And this is the power connector for a Nintendo monitor. And as much as you might be tempted to do it, you cannot plug this into the wall outlet at your house or in your garage or arcade or wherever, because you will blow up this monitor in two different ways. One, this is expecting 100 volts, not 120. So you plug it into your house, you get 120 volts, this thing is dead. And also this needs isolated power, not regular power coming out of the wall. So you can't, so there are outlets inside Nintendo cabinets for you to plug this in and plug the marquee light into, but you can't just plug that into, you can't just plug this into a wall outlet. The other thing that Nintendo, or another thing that Nintendo did weird was the video signal connection is a smaller header right here, so it's a different pinout, and it takes a inverted video signal. So if you try to put a regular video signal on this monitor, it's going to look like a photo negative, if you remember that from back in the day. So yeah, if you hook up a regular video signal to this, everything will be inverted. Black will be white, white will be black, and all the colors will be their opposites, sort of on the color wheel or whatever. So yeah, lots of different things going on with this cabinet. So let's kind of hook this up for testing. Again, I'm going to assume that we're going to get, you know, some kind of vertical collapse, given, you know, what was on the thing, on the label, and the little clips to sort of hold the gauze coil are broken right here. But first we'll start with the TPG. So again, you have to have a different connector for the video signal. And I got my oh, you can't even see it. I got my TPG from Mike's Arcade. This is sold, you know, made by Crafty Mech, but sold through a couple different vendors. I think Arcade Parts Repair has it, and Arcade Shop. I got mine from Mike's Arcade because I think he was running a sale, and I liked the cables, the TPG cables that come with it, pre-made, and he includes, like, you know, there's like a connector in the middle for different ends. There's a regular, you know, connection, and then the Nintendo connection. So I've always found that to come in handy. I can't remember if Nintendo used positive or negative sync, but we'll find out in a moment here. We get this plugged in. There we go. That looks good. I actually went ahead and double checked, and Nintendo uses negative composite sync, so I moved the sync wires over to the negative sync headers. What else do I need to do? Let me get power. So I actually have two different compact portable isolation transformer power supplies. This is the normal one, the one that you saw me using earlier. And if you look closely at the label on the ISO, which I got from arcadepartsandrepair.com, you see it says output is 120 volts. So this takes in 120 volts from your wall and outputs isolated 120 volts. but we can't use that with this monitor, again, because this needs to run on 100 volts. So I've also got this one right here that I have a little overtime, parody Donkey Kong marquee for me to remember that this is the Nintendo version, because this has input 120 volts and output of 100 volts. So this is my Nintendo isolation transformer, and it's got a different connector, so I can plug in the power right here. So that's good. And you see, like, there isn't like a clip. Let me actually bend this a little bit close together so it kind of grabs onto the outlet. For the ground for this thing, I've got a different solution also. I've got this little banana. I've got a wire with a banana jack on one end and a clip, alligator clip on the other, so I can plug this in right here, and we can ground our frame like so, right there. So that's good. And we need to plug this in. So we'll plug in the wire for that, like that. And we'll plug this into the outlet at the workbench. And then we'll grab our multimeter. This works pretty normal. Let's see. There is the black wire will go on the frame. Ground it to the frame. It's a good spot to grab it. There's a bit of rust on this frame. And then there is a nice little, let me see if I can see it with my flashlight. There's a nice, oh, there's some dust bunnies in here. There is a nice little, why am I not seeing it? There it is right there. It's a little test point marked plus BC. Test point right there that we'll grab onto with our red probe. So we'll put that onto DC volts. We will, on our TPG, also change the setting to make it inverted. There we go. We'll turn that on. So we have inverted video signal going to this monitor. And here we go, turning on the power in 3, 2, 1. We're looking for 108, and we're at 105, so a little bit low. And we've got something on the screen. Let's show you what's going on here. Very, very bright. We have vertical collapse. So this label was correct. We can try stepping through, and sometimes you'll see maybe a change in what's going on the image, but not so much here. Now we're dipping down. We're at like 98, 99. And this is, in fact, vertical collapse, not horizontal collapse, because this monitor is on its side. And you got to go by the direction, like, tubes are designed to be in horizontal orientation or landscape mode, not portrait mode, vertical orientation. And basically, collapse means you're losing deflection on one of the axes, either the X or Y axis, the horizontal or vertical axis. And so if everything is flattened from top to bottom, so imagine this thing being rotated, if everything's collapsed from top to bottom, you've lost vertical deflection, so you have vertical collapse. If everything was squeezed from left to right, and again, imagine this rotated sideways, that's horizontal collapse because you've lost horizontal deflection. But there we go, partially working, right? Like it's turning on, it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, but we are getting, the monitor is powering up and we're getting vertical collapse. So exactly as it was labeled on that piece of painter's tape, but hey, that's something. So let me pull this apart. We'll set up the other 20EZ and hopefully cross our fingers and we have some luck on this, this last monitor. All right, guys, I've actually got some bad news here. So while I was getting the other 20EZ ready, set up for testing, I noticed some issues with it. And this is the one where the masking tape on the screen says dead. So I'm kind of looking things over, seeing if anything is immediately obvious. And one thing right here, if you can see it, this power cord is not in good shape, if that'll focus. It's basically cut almost all the way through. So that'll do it. That will definitely prevent it from powering up and, acting dead. And I was looking at some more stuff. There's this this weird red wire here. I think, based on what I'm seeing here, this had an inverter board mounted on it at some point. So some of these later 20EZs, Nintendo even shipped them with these inverter boards that would take the signal and have a switch and enable you to flip it from inverted to non-inverted in case you wanted to use this monitor later with a non-Nintendo cabinet. And I think maybe this is a remnant of a wire that was left there. I don't know, but that's weird. And then there were some other things. You know, noticing those two things made me take a closer look at the chassis, and I saw this right here. So we've got a corner of the PCB that's broken. Like, that's fixable, but that does carry a ground. And then I noticed, even worse, I pulled the chassis out, and even worse, it's got a big crack with a chunk missing out of the PCB right there. So I think that's fixable. But those issues led me to go and take the chassis out of the other monitor, the first 20EZ that we were looking at, the necked one. And unfortunately, this one is in bad shape too. So I'll show you. Very similar damage. So this has the corner blown out. That's missing entirely. A chunk here and a crack. So yeah, again, I think these are both repairable. At least they should be. But that's not something that's in the scope for getting done tonight before this video needs to go out. And this one, the power cord is also, like, this has been spliced and just twisted and put back together with electrical tape. Guys, that is not the way to do this. So yeah, so we won't be testing any other monitors tonight. But one thing we can do is turn off the house lights in the garage, and we can use a black light and see if we can figure out what kind of burn we have, if any, on these monitors. So look over here, the three that I've got on the ground, there's four on the ground actually. That's the Matsushita back over there. This is the 4900. This is the Neotech 2515C, and then over here we have the necked 20EZ monitor. Still curious to figure out what's going on in them. So let me put this tripod over here, and I'll turn off the workbench light, and then we'll use our black light to try to figure out what's going on. Now, let me see if I can do this one-handed. It's gonna be I'm gonna be aiming the camera with one hand and aiming the black light with another, but hopefully you can see that has what appears to be millipede burn to me, which would be consistent with the Matsushita and an Atari serial number tag. So that's interesting. Over here is one that stumped me for a bit. I actually posted this on the members only Discord, and I think it was Frog Puppet who noticed this at first. I think this is a game that has two names. It goes by either Speed Buggy or Buggy Boy, depending on which region. I think it was Buggy Boy in Japan and then Speed Buggy in the US, but that's what that is on the 4900. And then here on the Neotech, it's very faint. I think this is probably some light Primal Rage burn. So again, that would be consistent with what we're seeing. And then on the necked 20EZ board, I'm not sure what this is. It's sort of like a frame, some vertical lines, or horizontal lines actually, because this, most of these monitors would have been used horizontally. I don't know. I'm trying to, I don't know if you guys are recognizing this, and I know it's weird with the camera, but if you're recognizing that burn, let me know. And then coming back over to the two non-necked 20EZ monitors. This first one here is some kind of pool game. Like, you can see the corner pockets of the pool table. Again, imagine this rotated to the left, where the top is over here and the bottom's over here. But that's some sort of pool game. It's like 8-ball, or there was some kit for converting Donkey Kong games that was pool. Interestingly, if we look back here, I know we didn't work on these monitors. That is a vertical 4600, and it's got Vanguard burn. This is a Hanterex, and I don't know what kind of burn is on that. And this is the other Matsushita, and from this angle, Oh, I don't know. It's got 000 like square numbers at the top. And then last of all, we have this here. So this is the monitor. This is the 20EZ that had vertical collapse. Let me actually grab the tripod here. This, I think, is the most interesting burn out of all of the tubes we were looking at today. Sorry for bouncing you guys all around. Let's go like this. Okay, let's see. We'll get this positioned. This has the most interesting burn. So I think I see at least 2 games here. I believe this was in a Versus cabinet at some point, and I can see things like design. I saw some things. I think this has had both Excite Bike burn, and I think I see Mario and World up here, World right there, Mario down here. So I think this had both Excite Bike and Super Mario Brothers at one point. You know, the Nintendo Versus system, which would make sense with this monitor, with the 20EZ, and with, you know, I guess the other one had the inverter board. So that would make sense to me. And it's very fortunate that we don't see any vertical collapse burn, because if this monitor had gone into collapse and it was left on for days and days and days, that's a very intense bright line on the vertical collapse axis. So we're fortunate that this monitor was taken out of service without that vertical collapse burn line being burnt in. And yeah, I know I went through before and talked about how you can tell the difference between vertical collapse and horizontal collapse, especially with the monitor rotated. And that's why a while ago I actually made a t-shirt design to explain this and to remind people how to tell the difference between vertical collapse and horizontal collapse, regardless of the way your monitor might be rotated. And guys, right now, if you want to pick up a shirt like this or any of the t-shirts we have on offer at the official Overtime Arcade merchandise shop, everything right now, guys, it's 20% off. That's right, 20% off anything and everything, only at the official Overtime Arcade merchandise shop. Check the link down in the description. There should also be some, you know, product things for you to click on in the YouTube app or wherever you're watching it that'll take you to that. But yeah, the Overtime Arcade official merchandise shop, everything right now until the end of the month, until the end of July 2025, everything 20% off. It's a great deal. You don't want to miss it. We got lots of other stuff too if this nerdy joke is not your taste. But yeah, guys, if this is your first time on the channel, thank you, welcome. Please make sure you're subscribed. Please make sure you hit that like button. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, hit that like button. You clearly enjoy what we're doing here, and that helps me a ton. It tells the YouTube algorithm to recommend this video to people like you. The best way to support the channel, in addition to subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, the best way to support the channel, guys, you've heard me talk about this, it's becoming an Overtime Arcade channel member. You'll join the ranks of over 100 awesome people who they all donate $1.99 a month, and in exchange, not only are they supporting their favorite arcade repair and restoration channel on YouTube, they also get access to some awesome perks. This isn't just about you giving me money, guys. This is about you getting more than $2 of value every month for your donation, including early access to all new videos. So, you know, channel members are watching this on Saturday night, where you, John Q. Public, if you're not a member, you're forced to wait until Sunday afternoon to watch this video. They get access to our private members only Discord, which is really an active, super awesome, positive community. It's really, really great. Ask anybody you see, any name you recognize here, and they'll tell you about how awesome our Discord is. And they also get access to a monthly members only live stream. And our one for July is coming up real soon. We usually do it the last week of the month. So first couple of days of next week, weekday night, we'll do our monthly members only live stream, which is totally different from the podcast. It's totally different from the public live streams that I do with gameplay and sitting at the desk. It's really great, and it's also interactive, so people who want to can open up their microphone and get on. And they're talking, they're in the live stream, guys. It's not just me talking into the ether for 2 hours. Anyway, check the link down below if you want to learn more about what it means to be an Overtime Arcade channel member. And again, I want to thank all the awesome people who support me every single month. And if you recognize any of the names here, ask them about the channel membership program, and they will tell you how awesome it is. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for today. Thank you for watching Overtime Arcade. I'm Charlie, and I'll see you next time.
Overtime!